Join us on Coffee with Josh and Arlene as we explore the raw and beautiful tapestry of our relationship. Our channel is a space where we share our experiences of pain, anger, and hurt, as well as joy, harmony, and bliss. We're here to guide you from merely tolerating your partner to celebrating your union and oneness.
Discover new ways of communication, confront the past, let go of outdated beliefs, and embrace living in the present.
Together, let's transform our relationships into a source of strength and happiness. And so it is.
Whispers are heard, a symphony of love, like the song of a bird. You're my cup of happiness.
So right now we're listening to Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm, Thich Nhat Hanh.
Chapter 3. Original Fear.
Experienced some suffering in our past, and we often recall our past suffering. We revisit the past, reviewing it and watching the films of the past. But if we revisit these memories without mindfulness or awareness, every time we watch those images, we suffer again. Suppose you were abused as a young child. You suffered greatly. You were fragile and vulnerable. You were likely afraid all the time. You didn't know how to protect yourself. Perhaps in your mind you continue to be abused again and again, even though you are an adult now. You are no longer that child who was fragile and vulnerable, with no means of defense. Yet you continue to experience the suffering of the child, because you always revisit those memories, even though they are painful. There is a film, an image, stored in your consciousness. Every time your mind goes back to the past, and you look at that image or watch that film, you suffer again. Mindfulness reminds us that it is possible to be in the here and now. It reminds us that the present moment is always available to us. We don't have to live events that happened long ago. Suppose someone slapped your face 20 years ago. That was recorded as an image in your subconscious. Your subconscious stores many films and images of the past, which are always being projected down there. And you have a tendency to go back and watch them again and again. So you continue to suffer. Every time you see that picture, you are slapped again and again and again. But that is only the past. You are no longer in the past. You are in the present moment. That did happen, yes. The past is already gone. Now the only things left are pictures and memories. If you keep going back to the past to review those images, that is wrong mindfulness. But if we root ourselves in the present moment, we can look at the past in a different way and transform its suffering. Perhaps when you were a little child, people would sometimes take your toy away from you. You learned to cry, to try to manipulate the situation, or to smile so as to please your caretaker to make her give back the toy. As a young child, you learn to produce a diplomatic smile. That's one way of dealing with the problem of survival. You learn without even knowing that you're learning. The feeling that you're fragile, vulnerable, unable to defend yourself. The feeling that you always need someone to be with you is always there. That original fear, and its other face, original desire, is always there. The infant, with his fear and his desire, is always alive in us. Some of us have depression and continue to suffer, even if in the present situation everything looks all right. This is because we have a tendency to dwell in the past. We feel more comfortable making our home there, even if it holds a lot of suffering. That home is deep down in our subconscious, where the films of the past are always projected. Every night, you go back and watch those films and suffer. And the future you constantly worry about is nothing other than a projection of fear and desire from the past. Don't fear the past. Because it's so easy to be caught in the past, it's helpful to have a reminder to stay in the present. In Plum Village, we use a bell. When we hear the bell, we practice breathing in and out mindfully, and we say, I listen to the bell. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. My true home is in the here and now. The past is not my true home. You may want to say to the little one inside you, the past is not our home. Our home is here, where we can really live our life. We can get all the nourishment and healing we need here in the present moment. Much of the fear, anxiety, and anguish that we experience is there because the inner child has not been liberated. That child is afraid to come out to the present moment. And so your mindfulness, your breath, can help this child to realize that she is safe and can be free. Suppose you go to the movies. From your seat in the audience, you look up at the screen. There is a story. There are people on the screen interacting with each other. And down there in the audience, you cry. You experience what's happening on the screen as real. and that's why you shed real tears and feel real emotions. The suffering is real. The tears are real. But when you come out to touch the screen, you don't see any real people. It's nothing but flickering light. You can't talk to the people on the screen. You can't invite them to have tea. You can't stop them or ask them a question. But yet, it can create real suffering in your body as well as your mind. Our memories can cause us real suffering, both emotionally and physically, even though they are not happening in the moment. When we recognize that we have a habit of replaying old events and reacting to new events as if they were the old ones, we can begin to notice when that habit energy comes up. We can then gently remind ourselves that we have another choice. We can look at the moment as it is, a fresh moment, and leave the past for a time when we can look at it compassionately. We can make the time and space, not in a busy moment, but in a quiet time, to tell the suffering, wounded child inside us that she doesn't have to suffer anymore. We can take her hand and invite her to come into the present moment and witness all the wonders of life that are available here and now. Come with me, dear one. We have grown up. We no longer need to be afraid. We are no longer vulnerable. We are no longer fragile. We don't have to be afraid anymore. You have to teach the child in you. You have to invite him to come with you and live life with you in the present moment. Of course, we can mindfully reflect upon and learn from the past. But when we do this, we stay grounded in the present moment. If we are well grounded in the present moment, we can look skillfully at the past and learn from it without being sucked in and overwhelmed by it. Contemplating the future without fear. We likewise can prepare for the future without getting consumed by our plans. Often, we either don't plan at all, or we get caught up in obsessive planning because we fear the future and its uncertainty. The present moment is where we need to operate. When you are truly anchored in the present moment, you can plan for the future in a much better way. Living mindfully in the present does not preclude making plans. It only means that you know there's no use losing yourself in worries and fear concerning the future. If you are grounded in the present moment, you can bring the future into the present to have a deep look without losing yourself in anxiety and uncertainty. If you are truly present and know how to take care of the present moment as best you can, you are doing your best for the future already. The same is true about the past. The teaching and the practice of mindfulness do not forbid looking deeply into the past. But if we allow ourselves to drown in regret and sorrow concerning the past, that's not right mindfulness. If we're well established in the present moment, we can bring the past back to the present moment and have a deep look. You can very well examine the past and the future while you are established in the present moment. In fact, you can learn from the past and plan for the future in the best way if you are grounded in the present moment. If you have a friend who suffers, you have to help him. My dear friend, you are on safe ground. Everything is okay now. Why do you continue to suffer? Don't go back to the past. It's only a ghost. It's unreal. And whenever we recognize that these are only movies and pictures, not reality, we are free. That is the practice of mindfulness.
It's a good thing to stop with lots of things to ponder in that short.
Yeah, so that
Sorry.
chapter was about 9 minutes. And so we'll pause it there and see if there's anything we want to share. We learned, gleaned.
From the previous days that we encountered such challenge in my behavior, that was not really nice. Because I'm still continuing suffering. It's because of dwelling on the past, which is chaos, a dark spot created, by my parents when I was small. So I still keep coming back and thinking of those incidents in my present moment. So I did not practice mindfulness. It's a wrong mindfulness, and I did not admit that I have depression. So actually, if you are depressed, you will always think of suffering, from the past and bringing on into the present moment. Because every time you see it, you always have a fear.
So I'm going to rewind just a little bit because I think you might have left a few gaps. And I know this is first video. Whether it's going to be the first in the series that we upload, I don't know. But so just a little background. Arlene and I have been married coming up on 1 year next week. We've been together about 18 months. And overall, our relationship is amazing. And we're deeply in love and we share a lot. We have these mornings. We've been doing this ever since we met. having time together, listening to books, reading books. Sometimes it's physically reading, sometimes it's listening on Audible or YouTube, and then discussing. And so I'm a practitioner for Science of Mind, and Arlene and I met when one of the things that sparked my interest was so we had this first date called our apple and peanut butter date, and that's when I brought apples and peanut butter to go meet her. I offered some other things, and that's what she wanted. I think I had some Pringles too. And she said, I'm a practitioner, and I like spiritual things, and I believe in God and have faith. And she said, God is infinite, and God is powerful, and basically like anything can happen. And that was magical to me. And yet we've been plagued a lot in our relationship because oftentimes of our pasts. And Arlene has a past. I'll let her share about hers more. But she frequently brings this fear into our relationship, and it releases the dragon in her. We have these horrible fights where she is just off the chain. And I'm not saying I don't have any role, but oftentimes it's really just her past, and I'll let her share about that. So this is very apropos here for this reading, because we all have a past, each and every one of us, and I would suspect that everyone has their dark moments. I have moments I don't want to think about, I don't want to remember. I don't want to remember feeling unsafe. I don't want to remember my parents breaking up. I don't want to remember my house being broken into when I was homesick and alone. Just various things. I don't want to remember all the different relationships I've been in and stupidity that I don't want to share or admit to. And yet this is what's made me who I am today. And it's not, I don't believe denying the truth of me is helping anyone. I don't believe it's helping me. And I certainly don't think it's helping you out there. Oftentimes people we see on video, they look all clean and dressed up and neat and clean and picture perfect. Well, we're humans. We are not picture perfect. We have ups, we have downs, we get angry, we feel sad, we feel happy, we have every emotion under the sun. And one of my challenges with our communication, Arlene's a Filipina, we're in the Philippines right now. So I like very clear, concise language, and oftentimes when she communicates, she'll use things like they and them and those and liars and cheaters, the thises and the that's, and I have absolutely no clue what she's talking about, literally, because there's no specific person's name or whatever. And then I'm still to this very day trying to correct her so that I can understand and get her to use language that's more clear.
When it comes to relationship, in relationship or not, communication is very important. So just like what I've mentioned to my husband, there are barriers of communications, by the way. So like what he said, he's a foreigner. He's living now in Philippines with our family. So I am a Filipina, so it's different. The way we communicate with each other, it's a challenge. When he wanted to express, to communicate non-violently. So by the way, I was raised up, when I was a child, up until the age of 41, all I've encountered is violence. So it's not a shock when you have a fear because of I am the product of the abuse. A very bad story of my life, so we're not gonna go there. We're gonna have to tackle, where my fear came from. So when I was a child, I've experienced abuse by my own family. So there's no love in there, there's no care from my parents. So it's really sad. So I jump into this motherhood and a wifehood with my great husband Josh. So now we're here together, and in this present moment, it's hard to deny that it's really a challenge. I used to be alone. Conquering the fear alone is, my definition for that is, I did it great when I was alone. But now that I am vulnerable with my husband, it's different also because I am a mother and at the same time I'm a wife. So I feel that everywhere it's always a fear. And just like what he mentioned from himself, that I think being dishonest or not telling the truth can help you. So I want honesty, by the way. So we have a colorful past that can, blind us to this present moment. That is why sometimes I am encountering with my husband a challenge. Because every time that there's a word coming out from his mouth and it's not really the meaning of it, and I took it personally. And I made a lot of story. So it is, sinking from the past. And that's the challenge is. There's one time that I had myself in my closet that I don't have intention to leave. It's because of my anger for him that he cannot even understand me. That's it. I hide it from inside of my closet for how many minutes, and I realized that I cannot breathe because I have arrhythmia infarction in my heart. So I cannot stay there long. So I've decided to go out. Then again, what Thich Nhat Hanh mentioned, that practice living mindfulness. It is, the present in the now, which is your fear or your past is not real. Although you experience it, that was long time ago, by the way, 20 years ago. Doesn't mean that you need to ignore it or not to think about it, because every now and then when your feelings hurt, it will always come back and think of your past, especially my past. So now I am practicing living in the present moment, though I have a story from my past, and it's not helpful, by the way, to keep coming back and bringing on the past. It's not helpful in our relationship, because what I've mentioned, the liars and the cheaters. My husband, he had his previous colorful events in his life that has involved with different women. So it's a lot of story for me, by the way, when it comes to women. And now I am learning to accept the way I see the world and conquering the fear, understanding people with who they are and accepting them as who they are.
So honey, when you say accept them as who they are, what does that mean to you?
I mean, putting no judgments in them, no judgment and no stories.
Does that mean recognizing their divinity? Does that mean...
Yes, because like what I've mentioned since the other day, that we played a different role in our society. And like I keep mentioning, even though the foreigners already married and still there's cheating events. So I changed the story. I am grateful that I have a husband like him. He's a great man, and instead of being proud of him, I'll not make a story that, a woman messaged to my husband sending, I'd love to send you lunch, but without reading the whole story, the content of the story. So I feel bad about it.
So she kind of jumped in the middle there, so I'll just clarify. So I have a work email, and all my stuff is wide open. My phone's open, my computer's open, and we'll talk at some point about certain people. Oh, that'd be my wife, by the way. Scrolling through my computer stuff without permission.
That's not a good thing, by the way, but it helps for me finding out.
I have nothing to hide, so whatever she finds, and it's all in the past. I'm not doing anything inappropriate. Meaning not flirting, not sexting, not anything. Excuse me. Anyway, so I get this email that says, hey, can I send you DoorDash and to go over this business idea? And there's a web link, and I looked at the web link. It's legit. And anyway, she saw that email, and she saw that it was a woman's name, and that she's offered to get me a DoorDash. She doesn't know I'm in the Philippines. It came to my business email. And anyway, so then drama pursued. for my lovely bride.
And I even told my husband that, could you please tell her that if she said lunch, could make it please two, one for you and one for me, because tell her that you have a wife. See the story that I made, which is true, by the way, because we're married. So I made an assumption that these people know that you are married. Because apparently they don't know. That is why they're sending bunch of different emails that you see. Apparently, yeah, my bad. It's not a good thing when you are married. Don't go to personal computers of your spouse, because you will see a lot of crap in there. It can hurt your feelings, and you can make a lot of story. It can damage your relationship, by the way. And then again, it's easy for us to move on. Don't forget, don't think about the past anymore, but sometimes there's flickering in it. There's feelings, Oh, I wish that I can be same like that when I was in my past. Sometimes, not all, some. Right? So it's a challenge in a couple, by the way. Especially, we jump into this relationship. We fell in love, and it was still all the love in the world, and decided to get married. And then here we are. Again, knowing first your spouse, know the story, know everything, so that for me, I want honesty. I deserve to know the truth, and that is me. So, in order for me to stop my craziness of making stories, I have to know the truth. By knowing the truth, I will not make a story about you or my husband.
So, there you have it. This is Coffee with Josh and Arlene, bringing you the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully making a difference in the world, letting people see that they can have a great life, that they can change their thoughts, change their relationship, change their financial status, whatever it is that you're wanting. And let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want help with. Let us know topics you want us to discuss. I know that this is our first video, and whether it's posted as the first will be here. We'll have to see. And just hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, all those things that YouTube tells us we need to do so that we can get our viewership up, so that we can get our content to more people. So we appreciate you sharing your morning with us, and we want to hear back from you.